In this WrestleTalk news, the fallout from Cody Rhodes' loss at WrestleMania, the latest on WWE's sale, and multiple WWE stars unhappy. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
So, what do you want to talk about? I mean, we could talk about how WWE somehow just pulled perhaps their biggest swerve in Mania history by also doing the same thing that they've been doing for the last 10 years, having Roman Reigns win the main event of WrestleMania. Lol. I mean, why oh why were we so convinced that this was going to be the time where he got beaten? I don't know. Was it because WWE had been simultaneously spelling out Cody finishing his story while also seemingly pointing towards the whole demise of the bloodline? Was it the fact that Sami and KO received their storybook finish on night one? Was it that we're living in the Triple H era of WWE creative and we expected him to at least be able to make the right call, that being Cody dethroning Roman on the grandest stage of them all? I guess we're the real fools though, because in the end, this is Roman Reigns we're talking about. And history has told us never to expect anything but one, Roman winning, and two, for some sort of combination of a referee bump and the Usos solo interference to be the reason for said victory. Are the baby faces not watching the tapes? You gotta watch the tapes, guys. And you know what? As many fans have noted online since the overbooked chaos of the tail end of the match had a rather familiar stench. That of one Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Now, the very real concerns of Vince being involved in Mania have been rooted in the reality that he is now officially a WWE employee once again. You can shave that tash now, Vince. You don't need to hide your identity anymore. You're back in. Naturally, after seeing Vince at the WWE Hall of Fame, it was inevitable that Vince would also be at Mania too, with the only question being, would his return be in gorilla position or in catering with all of the other employees? Well, according to Fightful Select, not only was Vince in gorilla position for night one of Mania, but he was also not shy about giving input while there. The Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer would also note that Vince was very much involved once again, albeit not to the same degree he once was before. PW Insider would also note that Vince could be heard on production headsets before the show, giving feedback and asking questions. However, they would affirm that Vince's role was supervisory, with Triple H being the one in charge. So what of the finish to the main event itself? Was Vince involved like some of us suspect? Well, according to Fightful Select's latest report, the answer is no. Fightful notes that their WWE sources, as well as a rep, all told them that Vince was not involved in the decision-making at Mania, meaning that Cody's loss would have been a Triple H call. However, it is also perhaps worth noting that according to Fightful, while Vince was still in charge prior to the summer, there was no plan for Roman Reigns to lose the World Championships, much less for Cody to win it, with the plan for Cody to face Roman reportedly only coming once Vince was actually out of power. Curious. Regardless, while a Cody win seemed spelled out on WWE TV over the last few months, was that in fact the plan? Was it a classic Vince-esque last-minute change to the script? Well, Fightful have now confirmed that Roman's triumph was a nailed-on decision, with people within WWE aware of it several weeks ago. However, Fightful were not told as to whether the talent involved were informed in this same time frame or not. As well as this, the specifics of the match itself, such as the many interferences during the match, weren't relayed to talent, refs, and ringside staff until Sunday. While the reasoning behind the decision will likely be questioned by, everyone for a while, what have those involved said regarding the disappointing end to Cody's story? Well, Triple H in the post-Mania presser would reassure fans that Cody's defeat is in fact not the end of his story after all, instead saying, in the WWE, the story never finishes. Tomorrow night on Raw, the story continues. The story takes another chapter. We just got to the end of the chapter of a very long book. Very long. Like War and Peace. When questioned further regarding the decision and potentially passing up a major opportunity by not having Cody win, Triple H would reply, "It's telling a story. Where do you want to go with a story, and how do you want to get there? It's always feel and where you are at the moment. Honestly, it's the right place to be, and that's where you have to be, and bank on what's next. If you continue to tell the story, and if I didn't feel like we had a compelling story on the other side, it wouldn't be the decision. What are you going to do? Because whatever it is, it's going to be crazy." Now, while Triple H hopefully has a bigger picture in mind, I don't know, it felt wrong this time, didn't it? Maybe Trips was taking some revenge for all of that throne smashing back in the day. And while we're all bound to be feeling a little bit flat, spare a thought for Cody's friends and family for a second, because that has got to sting. While Cody's brother Dustin wasn't in attendance in LA, he replied to the result via a single stone-faced emoji tweet that summed up pretty much all of our collective emotions. While Cody's friend and former colleague Sammy Guevara simply responded with WTF, which is a nice way of saying what Pete said. As for Cody's wife, Brandy, she similarly to Trips seems to have a more big picture outlook, tweeting, "Hard times make better men. Don't mention his dad." Well, we got to hear Roman's response to the victory at the WWE presser, in which he implored someone to beat him for his titles. We've not yet heard from Cody, but I think his face in that closing shot of Mania probably said more than words could ever say. While Cody's bound to not be best pleased with the result last night, it seems like he may in fact not be alone in his displeasure, as two major Raw stars have seemingly voiced their own frustrations following WrestleMania. Now, one of the two is the woman who now owns a 0-5 record at WrestleMania. That is Asuka. Yep, the Empress of Tomorrow continued her unfortunate loss streak at WrestleMania to Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair. In response to her defeat, Asuka would take to Twitter and make a statement that seemingly cast a little bit of doubt on her WWE future. Asuka would say in her post, "I may as well go back to Japan," following her loss. However, before you all panic, she did seem to want to channel that disappointment into an eventual takeover of the WWE women's division, although it is easy to imagine that there must be some real sentiment in the old "maybe I'll just go back to Japan" thing. As for our number 2 frustrated Raw star, we have the almighty Bobby Lashley, who after all the uncertainty surrounding who his opponent was going to be at Mania, ended up having no opponent at all, except for the size of the trophy. I mean, The Miz had 2 matches and he couldn't have Bobby have 1. It seems like Bobby's absence is not through a lack of trying, though, as according to Fight for Select, Lashley pushed to remain on the WrestleMania card, but it just didn't end up happening. Taking to social media, Lashley would post a video to voice his disappointment, saying, "This is without a doubt one of the toughest things to swallow. It kinda sucks. Things happen, the show has to move. I've been to WrestleMania, but this year everything fell apart. Thankful that I got to be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, but I was really looking forward to being a part of WrestleMania." Now, Lashley was of course originally booked for a match with Bray Wyatt at Mania, however, due to an unknown illness to Wyatt, plans all fell apart. Curiously though, Wyatt was pictured in LA over the weekend, as was Uncle Howdy, aka Bo Dallas, which led fans to speculate whether the match could actually go ahead as a bit of surprise. However, this was not the case in the end. While Cody losing seems much more important news for us diehard fans, some much bigger WWE news has now broken in the shadow of WrestleMania weekend. That being the bloody company has finally been sold. Yes, as reported first by CNBC over the weekend, WWE has now been sold to, drumroll please, Endeavor. I mean, take that, Saudi Public Investment Fund. Endeavor are the owners of the UFC, and they broke the news in a press release on their website, noting that they had signed a definitive agreement to form a new publicly listed company consisting of 2 iconic complementary global sports and entertainment brands, UFC and WWE. They're going to merge the 2. Now, Endeavor is set to own a 51% controlling interest in this new company, and existing WWE shareholders a 49% interest. In a statement, Vince McMahon said that together we will be a $21 billion live sports and entertainment powerhouse with a collective fan base of more than 1 billion people and an exciting growth opportunity. The new company will be well positioned to maximize the value of our combined media rights, enhance sponsorship monetization, develop new forms of content, and pursue other strategic mergers and acquisitions to further bolster our strong stable of brands. Now, this new company is going to be led by Endeavor Chief Executive Officer Ari Emanuel, who will be CEO here. Vince is going to retain his position as chairman of the board. Mark Shapiro is going to be president and chief operating officer of both Endeavor and the new company, while Dana White and Nick Khan will retain their positions of presidents of the UFC and WWE, respectively. Now, the deal values UFC at $12.1 billion and WWE at $9.3 billion, far more than the $6 billion touted when they first went up for sale. This is wild. When news broke over the weekend, the general consensus from talent Fightful spoke to was positive, with many ecstatic that the company wouldn't be sold to the Saudi PIF. Now, not only that, but according to Fightful, the sale to Endeavor could be a massive positive for talent freedom. That is, if the company adopts the same policies as they do for UFC fighters, because at present, contracted fighters are allowed to have exclusive content pages such as an OnlyFans or a brand army, something that WWE have been a bit funny about in recent years. Now, the sale itself was said to be negotiated in LA over WrestleMania weekend. However, Fightful Select notes that the deal with Endeavor has been in motion well ahead of that. The deal to sell to Endeavor was also reportedly in the works before Vince signed his recent 2-year deal. Fightful also adds that those in knowledge of the situation have told him that Vince would likely have protections to keep him in the company or have a very healthy severance clause in the event that he was let go following the sale of the company. But while they've announced what's happening with the top-tier management, what about the current head of creative Triple H? Because according to Fightful's Endeavor source, they reportedly trust in what they've seen out of him. Not only that, but they also have a general respect for the work Stephanie McMahon did before leaving, which potentially leaves the door open for a return for her and perhaps eases fears of Vince using this to take full control of WWE creative once this sale is complete. There'll be loads more discussion about this and deeper depths to dive into, so stay locked to WrestleTalk.com for any and all updates on this situation and watch mine and Oli's discussion video on this very channel from earlier today. Goodbye, folks. I'm going to sleep forever now. Goodbye.
WWE has finally been sold, and not to Saudi Arabia. This is the good timeline.
It's a big day.
Yeah, WrestleMania Night 1, fantastic. WrestleMania Night 2, didn't really enjoy that. WrestleMania Night 3, the Monday, Endeavor has been called up to the main roster, and they purchased WWE.